highlight the of the INNOWWIDE program, the rationale, the background, and the main drivers. First of all, it is important to highlight the context from which INNOWWIDE started up back in 2019, and it's particularly the clear underperformance of third country entities under Horizon Europe, under Horizon 2020, which, by the way, is the world's biggest research and innovation international program. So, a lot of opportunities for strengthening cooperation with these entities are missing, and there is a clear and declining share of third country participation from slightly more than 20% in the framework program 7 up to slightly more than 11% currently under Horizon 2020. The reasons for this underperformance are manifold. Maybe some changing rules for third countries. Also, of course, the regional socio-political conflicts in many regions of the world do not facilitate this more intensive cooperation. And also the wording of very few topics with mandatory international participation under Horizon 2020, notably in closer to market activities. So in this sense, we had a not so favorable starting point to conduct this kind of collaborative initiatives. On the other hand, there is also a clear and express need from highly innovative SMEs, and with a clear international outreach vocation to have appropriate instruments for preparatory work for innovation-led international outreach. Okay, of course there are some instruments like bilateral or multilateral projects, but in the case of SMEs, particularly exploring the background and the framework conditions of target country are missing. And in this sense, there is a clear express need from this pool of innovative SMEs, which, by the way, are still a minority, but their impact is relevant in terms of innovation performance and international outreach. So the conclusion, taking into consideration these two main drivers, is that international collaborative product market development tools are needed. And in this sense, INNOWWIDE tries to fill in the gap. How? The INNOWWIDE program intends to facilitate through the implementation of viability, or the so-called viability assessment projects, the validation of new product market combinations, but innovation-led, which is important. As I will reiterate later on, we will not be talking about conventional export aids nor development aids, but collaborative joint product market development guided by innovative approaches. Also, we have tried to focus the effort on a first pilot third country, which would be relevant in terms of future regional expansion of this innovative business. And also, we have tried to highlight the importance of deploying win-win RTDI cooperation with local stakeholders. It should be balanced. We are not looking for, let's say, EU-led market or product development approach, but there should be co-creation and innovation preparatory work in close cooperation with these local stakeholders. more in detail, a viability assessment project includes two different packages, which both are needed and are required. On the one hand, a comprehensive set of technical, market, legal, and socioeconomic assessment to identify the key factors that facilitate or impede the proper rollout of this innovative future business, innovation-led. Okay, and on the other hand, the inception of preparatory work for future LTDI collaborative projects needed to develop these validated innovative business models through the previously said technical, market, legal, and socioeconomic viability assessments. Once again, it is important to stress that a viability assessment project, it is not an export aid. It is not a one-direction mature product penetration facilitation, but instead, as I reiterated beforehand, a collaborative co-creation development. It is not either a sole market and technology survey. We are not financing market studies for the sole purpose of knowing a little bit more about the target market. Innovative business development and deployment should be there. And also, VAPs are not intended to cover up development aid schemes because they are elsewhere looked at, and without prejudice of paying attention to developing countries, and in particular through frugal innovation schemes. In the end, conventional development aid schemes are not thought out for this purpose in this program. Summary profile of viability assessment projects. They should be submitted by individual EU or associated countries, SMEs. They should include a minimum budget of 86,000 euros, out of which 60,000 euros lump sum grant will be allocated. They should cover a 6-month duration with an implementation foreseen, as I told you before, in a target pilot third country. And what is really important is counting on a local strategic subcontractor, which would be the future RTDA partner for this co-creation and joint development effort. Guiding principles for viability assessment projects for VAPs. We have tried to put simplicity at the top through the usage of a lump sum scheme and trying to reduce as much as possible paperwork, both at submission stage, but also at monitoring stage, limiting the extension and content of the deliverables and the reporting procedures. We have also tried to allow for flexibility. We have required a minimum content, as I told you before, on both technical and commercial activities out of a predefined set of this kind of activities in order to allow partners and beneficiary SMEs to take advantage of a customized set of technical and commercial activities. So they are free to pick out of this predefined list, and they are free to customize whilst meeting a minimum number of both technical and market activities, this predefined set of potential tasks to be carried out. Also, we have considered right from the start the bottom-up approach. It is up to the candidate SMEs to put on the floor what would be their interest and the expected business development in the target third country. And finally, VAP performance is to be appraised upon results, particularly deliverables. We are not asking for extensive paperwork, but instead for tangible and visible results. Finally, some main figures, which would be more elaborated by my colleague Isabel de Vera further on. To this end, we have managed a total budget of 9 million euros, out of which 7.2 million euros would be allocated to these viability assessment projects. We have managed to finance and implement 120 viability assessment projects. And we have also managed to achieve a balanced allocation per third country groups, more or less developed. That's all from my side. Francisco, thank you so much. I will stop sharing my screen and giving the floor to Isabel. Okay.
Thank you so much, Carlos. Isabel, can you see if you can share your screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Francisco and Carlos. Good morning, everybody. I'm Isabel de Vera. It's my pleasure to be here today presenting some more details of the call implementations and results on behalf of the team at Eureka Secretariat. So the Eureka Secretariat has been in charge of running the 2 INNOWWIDE calls. This has been possible thanks to the know-how and extensive experience gained from running other international cooperation programs, such as Eurostars or Global Stars, involving also third countries. We have provided assistance to participants and experts through our central help desk. And we have made available an online submission portal for submitting proposals, but also for experts to perform the reviews and later on for beneficiaries to submit their final reports. Regarding the selection and assignment of experts, we have made use of the Eureka Experts database, which has more than 3,000 international experts registered. The timeline for the 2 calls, as you can see in the screen, the first call was opened in April 2019, and applications were open until the 31st of May. Most projects, most call 1 projects started in November 2019. The second call opened in January 2020. The original deadline was the 31st of March 2020, but this deadline was extended 1 week to give applicants extra time to finalize their proposals, while they were also coping with the COVID outbreak. And call 2 projects started in October 2020. In both calls, and despite the difficulties in call 2, the timeline from call cutoff to project start was 6 months approximately. In the next slide, we have the most relevant numbers. We have in light blue numbers corresponding to call 1, in dark blue the numbers for call 2. So in total, more than 2,000 participants registered in the system, in the platform. Finally, almost 1,000 participants submitted their proposals, with an unexpected high number of proposals in call 2. So we received almost 600 applications in call 2. Around 700 proposals were evaluated, and 252 were scored above threshold, meaning that we could have funded up to 252 proposals. From these 252 scored above threshold, the highest rated 120 proposals were selected for funding, after assessing also their financial situation and some ethics requirements. The budget available, as Carlos said, was 7.2 million euros to allocate 60,000 euros to each of these PAPs. Now it's time to look at the country's participation. Some of the requirements to apply were being an innovative SME or startup and being established in an European or associated country. Of the 976 submitted applications, around 72% were from SMEs, 27% from startups, and from 44 different countries. Some of these submitted proposals were ineligible. As you can see in the map, we received some applications from USA or India, for example, that were not eligible. But most of the applications came from European or associated countries, being Spain, Italy, and the Netherlands, the top applicant countries, followed by France, Germany, Ireland, and the list continues until 44 countries. Now focusing on the 120 funded projects, 85% of the funded organizations were SMEs and 15% were startups from 21 different European or associated countries. Now the order of top funded countries is Spain, but now Netherlands in the second place, followed by Italy, France, Portugal, Ireland, Hungary, Germany, and there were also some funded projects from Finland, Norway, Sweden, and Switzerland. Regarding the target countries, of the 976 submitted, they were targeting 68 different countries, and there was a balanced distribution already at the submission phase between the three target country categories, so large emerging economies, developed countries, and developing countries. The top target countries at submission stage were USA, India, and China, followed by Brazil, Mexico, Chile, Russia, Canada, Colombia, and Japan. And of the 120 funded projects, they were targeting 34 different countries outside Europe. And again, and this was one of the requirements of the Commission, to have the same allocation for each of the three country categories. And it happened naturally without any influence, that they were balanced. The top target countries have been USA, India, and Brazil. For the technical and market areas covered, the most numerous was electronics, IT, and followed by protecting the environment, energy, and biological sciences projects. And within these four main technical areas, the market areas most addressed were medical and health related, both for electronics and biological and sciences projects, probably due to the influence of COVID in the second call. There were more projects of this type. And to conclude this presentation, I would like to highlight the most important information that has been shared. So there were two calls, two INNOWWIDE calls, the first one in 2019, the second one in 2020. We received almost 1,000 applications from 44 different countries and targeting 68 different countries. The total available budget to fund projects were 7.2 million euros. And this has allowed to fund 120 VAPs from 21 European or associated countries and targeting 34 different countries outside Europe with a balanced country allocation. So thank you very much for your attention. That was all from my side.
Thank you very much for the excellent presentation, both to Carlos and to Isabel. It is really amazing to see these results and to better understand the impact that the project had. So I will move, if that is fine, because I have seen that some questions made in the chat were already replied directly. And so I would move to the next session, which is, as mentioned, to see INNOWWIDE as a door opener for internationalization of European SMEs. This session is going to be led by our colleague Oliver Rode from DLR, one of the partners of the INNOWWIDE project. And so, Oliver, the floor is yours. I will stop sharing my screen. So please, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francisco. Good morning, everyone. I'm Oliver Rode from the German Aerospace Center, and this session will be a little bit divided into two parts. I will show you some of the first insights we have from the impact assessment of INNOWWIDE, and then we will engage in a discussion with stakeholders presenting different views on INNOWWIDE. We will have Mr. Heikki Uusi Honko representing the national funding body involved in INNOWWIDE from Business Finland. We will have Ms. Daniela Conte representing the European Commission, an important stakeholder in our project, of course. And last but certainly not least, Ms. Monika Vipkova from the JIC in Brno from the Czech Republic will present the view of a regional intermediate, very active in supporting INNOWWIDE projects. So maybe to start, I will just show you some of the results we have from the impact assessment. I will try to share my screen, and this is always the moment where I wish I should have done something like a dress rehearsal, but I hope this is already visible for yes, all of you. Great. So the impact assessment and implementation analysis was carried out by DLR, CTR, and CDTI from Spain and Scheinbeis from Germany as a joint exercise, but all INNOWWIDE consortium partners were involved in one way or the other in supporting this exercise. We tried to answer a few questions. Now we have seen how the VIPs and how the call worked, and our idea was to see what impacts or effects we can observe on the level of companies. Do we see an increase in the competitiveness of the supported SMEs? Do we see new networks emerging, or do we see old networks being strengthened by INNOWWIDE? And of course, can we already observe some follow-up activities that the SMEs try to carry out? And besides these effects or impacts, we also try to have a look at positive aspects of the implementation. How were the calls implemented? Were beneficiaries or applicants able to understand all the paperwork that was provided? Also to get some insights into how the call worked and what could be amended in future activities. To gain some insight into this, we used a variety of instruments. The main source of data we used was a survey of all the applicants to get to know the expectations combined with the projects. And then, of course, which is our main source of data, a survey of all the beneficiaries once they were funded and after the end of the project. We also conducted focus groups with a lot of beneficiaries to get some deeper insights into the projects, what went well, to get some additional evidence on this. We also conducted a quantitative analysis, which was done by our colleagues from CTA to get some tangible quantitative data on the short and medium impact of the projects. We also, of course, did some surveys among the consortium, especially targeting this implementation analysis. And to bring all these sources together and get some insights, we engaged in a lot of discussions with the external advisory board we had for INNOWWIDE, with the evaluators appointed by the Commission. And of course, among the consortium, all partners were also active in a lot of discussions when we had a look at possible effects and impacts. Just to start, I mean, this is also the kind of the leitmotif of our discussion today. Did the VAPs serve as door openers for the internationalization? And we saw from this is always a survey of all the beneficiaries of the 120 projects. 95% of them reported that they were able to establish new networks due to INNOWWIDE. And what was also a striking insight, that 63%, almost 2/3, reported that this was the first time they were active in the target country in a project with a subcontractor. And 59% of the beneficiaries said that they, after the project, they entered some kind of formal collaboration with their local partner, and being a joint ventures, license agreement, some kind of formalized cooperation in the future. We also had a look at what could be the results derived from the VAPs, and here the beneficiaries reported multiple effects. The strengthening of local networks and contacts was reported as being the most often cited positive effect. Also better insights into market, proof that projects or products were technically feasible in the target country. And the preparation of future collaborative projects in the field of R&D were also cited quite often. Here, multiple answers were possible. So you see that the projects reported a variety of results they could have from the VAP. And we also had a look at the competitiveness, and 94%, so almost every VAP led to an increase in the competitiveness of the beneficiary. And we also tried to break down what could be behind this increased competitiveness, and local partnerships, marketing strategies were cited, but also product differentiation, cultural assets being also a better understanding of market conditions, demand, also optimized products were cited. So we could already observe, even though this is only a very short time span after the expiration of the VAPs, that they had a positive impact on the competitiveness. We also asked the beneficiaries if the VAPs had some effect on how within their company, or how innovation culture is perceived in their company. Did the VAPs improve their innovation culture? And here almost all the beneficiaries again said that there was some positive effect in preparing a VAP and carrying it out. So this general mobilization or increasing the innovativeness of the SMEs is also visible in our data. And for example, or examples for this improved innovation culture were that the capabilities to co-create were strengthened, more collaborative approaches to work, innovation management, and even some beneficiaries adopted in some way open innovation schemes in the course of their VAP. And this also leads to the fact that almost all the beneficiaries expect that they will extend their R&D activities in the course of their VAP. One thing adding evidence to this is this fact that almost all the VAPs reported to envisage some follow-up activities with their local partners in the future. Besides this more qualitative data, our colleagues from CTA also had a look at some of the quantitative impacts that we might already see. I'm looking at some multiplier effects that could be generated from every euro invested either by the applicant SME or by the European Commission in the VAP. And here we see some positive effects as follow-up investment generated. This is true for the own contribution the applicant or the beneficiaries invest in their home country in the VAP, And we see even a slightly stronger multiplier effect for the European Commission funding contributed to the VAPs. We also see some positive effects for the home countries in the fact that these increased revenues that we see also may lead to tax increases in the home countries. And we also see a lot of follow-up investment mobilized by the beneficiaries. And another thing we also see, we also try to get a view of what were the effects in the target countries, asking the subcontractors about positive effects or impacts they observe as being part of this VAP. And here we also see some positive impacts in the target countries. The multipliers are not as strong as in the home countries, but still we also see positive effects in the quantitative data for the target countries as well. And with these insights, I would stop, not to waste any more time, and I would hand over to all our discussants. I think I would just, we can just follow the list given in the agenda. So Heikki from Business Finland, you would be the first one. So just to get some more your impression as representing a national funding body on the general impacts of INNOWWIDE.
Thank you, Oliver, and please give me a signal if I'm using too much time. And let me also start by saying that it's been a real pleasure to represent Business Finland in the work of INNOWWIDE Consortium. We have a very versatile program today, and I was thinking what would be the most relevant thing I could add to the discussion. And I have been involved in the assessment of the VAP final report, so I decided that maybe I should base my comments on comparing these reports to what I have seen in the national programs, and I hope this is something unique. And my general impression definitely is in line what we already heard from you, Oliver, that the VIPs are helpful for the beneficiaries, but maybe more interestingly, in my view, also the studies themselves by and large are well structured, and some of them are really ambitious pieces of work to have been conducted only in a few months' time. And I think that the good results of the VIPs, at least for a part, are there because of the good quality of the project planning and execution I can see in the final reports. So based on this positive view on the quality of the project work, I have three observations. Firstly, I think this is good news for Europe. There is potential here. There is a high number of SMEs that have the capabilities for internationalization, not only the aspiration, but capabilities to really do high quality work in internationalization, in case anyone would have doubted this. The second remark is merely just a detail. In my mind, the good level of work in the VAPs is also connected to the specific way each VAP needs to be designed. That is, that the applicants can choose the elements of their study, but they need to do this choosing from a list of possible choices. And they also need to cover a number of different topics in the work. And this combination of bottom-up and predefined seems to have been working very well, helping the SMEs to design their projects in a very productive way, not only to concentrate in one issue like technology or customers, but really covering a comprehensive set of key issues for their project. The third point is a very broad comment for the future. As I already said, there is a lot of potential here. You can just look at the subscription rate of the two rather limited INNOWWIDE calls so far. So it is difficult for one European program to meet the entire need and opportunity here. There's also plenty of room for national activities. And I think it's important that INNOWWIDE keeps differentiating from and challenging the possible national funding programs. The point of this premeditated yet adaptable content I just mentioned is an example of something rather unique. I have not seen it in elsewhere. And I hope that we can in the future find more good and unique elements that stimulate and challenge also national programs in the context of the future integration of INNOWWIDE with the Innovative SMEs Partnership Program. I hope this would be the goal, and I welcome all possible future elaborations of this by others. So this was my 3 points. Many thanks for your attention, and I hand it over to next speaker or Oliver. Next speaker is Daniela Conte anyway. I'm not sure if you, Oliver, want to make an intervention here in between.
Well, thank you very much. I think you already alluded to some things that might be important for the European perspective. So I think Daniela, we can just hand over to you directly.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I'm Daniela Conte, and I had the pleasure to be the project advisor of this project from the Commission side. I'm currently working for the Research Executive Agency, which is the implementation body of the research. What I can add to the fruitful discussion up to now, what is, I think, important is to underline that INNOWWIDE was capable to achieve of the objective with limited resources, which I want to underline because I know the effort that was done from the consortium was really more than the resources that you had available, because we went through all those presentations, all those numbers, quantitative approach, qualitative approach, and we have to underline that you only had 7 million to do all of that, which is not a lot of money, I think. The other important point is that you were indeed able to building very quick, short relation with third countries, which will not be short relation, because as we see from the assessment, those VIP will build medium term and long relationship. But now, as a general point of view, and put it together, all the objective that you have achieved and all the assessment that you have done up to now, I would like to underline only one important point, which is made of 3 points: the innovation of INNOWWIDE. Because you managed to have a new methodology, which was included co-creation with a bottom-up approach using lump sum and have impact and result. And I think if we all put all together those 3 points, you arrive to the innovation, which is what we are looking actually in Horizon, and we will looking forward as well in Horizon Europe. So I think this is the main important point that can summarize what the INNOWWIDE project is, besides achieving of the objective of the project and the work program itself. This innovation was done not only from a quantitative approach, because you see, we just saw in Oliver's presentation that the €1 invested we have a leverage effect, so there will be revenue, so quantitative, but it's as well qualitative, because you targeted different countries and you had in your final assessment the possibility to see the differences between the market. And this leads to my last point, which is actually why basically the Commission probably in 2022 will launch this INNOWWIDE targeting only Africa, which is basically targeted to a very different areas in the world. And yeah, I share the idea of Eiki as a project officer or project advisor of this project, that eventually a co-creation or co-foundation between the member states would be a additional value added for the innovation, because we know that the member states have their own methodology to approach third country, and eventually overarching methodology could lead to a better use of not only the national funds, but of the European funds, because the member states have indeed a lot of knowledge about it, and eventually different from the knowledge that we have in the European Union. So thanks very much. And I give the floor to Oliver again, I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Daniela, and thank you for sharing these insights and also for describing something like the unique selling point or what distinguishes INNOWWIDE from other programs or schemes targeting SMEs. Yeah, without any further ado, I think Monika Vipkova, I will hand over to you so you can share the regional perspective. So now we've seen the national perspective, the European perspective, and it would be great to also hear your remarks.
Thank you very much, Olivera. I'm happy to give my view from the applicant's perspective, since I work for GIC, which is a leading public innovation agency in the Czech Republic and proud member of EBN. We support creation and growth of innovative enterprises in the region. And as such, we also support the SMEs in access to finance from both public and private sources. And in my opinion, INNOWWIDE has been very successful cascade funding program, which attracted a lot of applicants. And as far as I remember, the success rate for both calls was slightly above 10%, which made the program very, very competitive. And we experienced that together with our clients. I mean, very competitive in comparison to other cascade funding programs. And we supported several our clients. We promoted this opportunity a lot, and two of Czech companies, two of our clients, were even successful in the second call. One of them is showcased in the success stories. So just to give an example, it's a company VR Engineers, which used their professional VR headset for treatment of people with neurodegenerative diseases. I think it's a great idea to support companies and even startups through these cascade funding programs, since they simplify their way to access this funding. And as for INNOWWIDE, I think the greatest advantage or the reason for success is a combination of two things. The first one is that the program hit basically the needs of SMEs for support of their expansion to international markets. And as was mentioned by Carlos, not only to support their expansion, but also their collaboration with their counterparts in those markets. And the second point I see as a very important in the success was mentioned by Heikki, that the program was completely bottom up, which allowed basically companies from different technology and application areas to benefit from this opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Monika, for sharing your view on this. I'm not sure if we still have time left for some discussion. I'm also not sure if we have questions from the chat.
Oliver, I would say we have 3 minutes left. There was one question concerning the subject of the new program targeting Africa that has been replied in the chat box directly. And also a positive comment, which I would highlight it here, as it's always good, that INNOWWIDE is a great platform to access EU innovations to emerging markets and also to support the UN Sustainable Development Goals and climate change objectives. So thank you very much for this comment as well. So Oliver, I'm not sure if there is any other aspect that you'd like to discuss, or if we...
Or maybe then just to, sorry, Francis, no, maybe just to conclude, thank you very much, Monika, Daniela, and Heikki, for sharing your views on this, also for nicely outlining the kind of what makes INNOWWIDE unique. I think this is important. I think also, as you rightly pointed out, the oversubscription of the calls also shows that INNOWWIDE has touched some nerve in the SMEs. And I think since we mentioned this Africa call, also I think one impact might also be that INNOWWIDE now is established as a brand name that is continued further. I think as a consortium, we could also take this as some kind of impact of our work in that aspect. So thank you very much for your great interventions. And Francisco, I just hand over to you.
Thank you, Oliver, and thank you to the three speakers. Excellent views. It is very, very useful to understand and to better understand the impact of INNOWWIDE and how we can move forward from this. And so I will just share very quickly the slide on the next session we have. I will hand over again to Carlos from CTA. And now we will talk about the strategic assessment of INNOWWIDE, but from the perspective of the External Expert Advisory Board of INNOWWIDE. And we have also two speakers. So Carlos, I will hand it over to you before we have our break after this session. So thank you, Carlos.
Thank you so much, Francisco. First of all, I would like to introduce the two excellent panelists we have taken on board for this third session. Okay, on the one hand, we count on Ms. Brigitte Ecker, which is Managing Director of WPZ Research, with a very long track record of as a senior researcher on research and technological innovation in Austria, and also in charge of the preparation of the yearly Austrian report of RTDI performance in that country. On the other hand, we have also with us with Jana Kolar, which is Executive Director of the Central European Research Infrastructure Consortium, and she was also formerly member of the high-level group on competitiveness and growth. So again, thank you so much for your availability, Brigitte, Jana. Okay, we have been fully aware right from the start of INNOWWIDE that we would be needing high-level assistance and advice as to the strategic and operational orientation of this program, as it is a pilot initiative with a view to be continued in the short medium term. But in this sense, of course, and as a pilot, this is subject to possible improvements. And in this sense, we retrieve the support of 6 top-level members of the innovation community. Out of them, once again, we have chosen Brigitte and Jana to share their views on the extensive discussions we have been holding with them, focusing on some issues that I will be tabling right now. Okay, I will be posing them 2-3 questions for getting their views. And the first one would be related to the design and management aspects of INNOWWIDE. So first of all, I would like to ask both Brigitte and Jana about their views on possible improvements on design and management aspects of INNOWWIDE, particularly in view of their final goal of paving the way for further research and technological development. Also, having account on SMEs, both at the home country and in the target country views and regional specificities. And finally, whether we should go on with this bottom-up approach, or alternatively, we should also look at, let's say, some more orientated topics in the future. So, Brigitte, is your turn. I would like to hear from you, and later on from Jana. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, dear Carlos and dear INNOWWIDE team and community. I prepared a small paper presentation. Is it possible to share my screen and to show you some slides just to address your questions. This is fine for you? Yeah, okay, we'll do it. Okay, so I hope you can see my slides. Is it fine for you? Yeah.
Yes, yes, Jana,
Okay.
we can see it. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I just put together 3 slides to highlight some questions as you addressed and also some issues which are important for the future development of INNOWWIDE as an instrument from my point of view. And first I would like to address the question, is there a need for such an instrument? Yeah, and in this context, according to the recently published European Innovation Scoreboard, I would also like to show you the countries performing in Europe with regard to linkages of SMEs. That's the first picture I would like to show you. And then the second one is I would like to highlight some selected strengths of INNOWWIDE and also to look on some challenges which you have to deal with in the future. So first of all, I would like to show you this picture and maybe I can also address some questions. So is there a need for an instrument such as INNOWWIDE? And just to give you an idea or have an idea, I want to show you the results of the recently published European Innovation Scoreboards. Yeah, it was just published by end of June and showing, if you look on the blue and dark blue bulks, yeah, that collaboration and linkages indeed matter for the performance of innovation systems. Yeah, that means, as you can see, innovation leader countries as well as strong innovators have more innovative SMEs collaborating with others. I think this is a really nice picture and a nice input for the next question. And what about the strengths of INNOWWIDE also in this connection? As Oliver has also mentioned in his presentation and all the other speakers, I think the INNOWWIDE instrument is very relevant and appropriate, and also the impact assessment and implementation analysis show great results and impact. As, for example, 95% of the funded European SMEs established new networks by the means of INNOWWIDE. 63% of the cooperation took place in targeted countries for the first time. Also, the competitiveness could increase. So altogether, overall, I think the bottom-up approach open for all thematic fields work. Yeah. Also, I think it's important that the instrument is embedded in national funding structures and is well established also to work in difficult times, in crises like Corona. This is also for me a good evidence that there is a good program management. And with regard to economic efficiency, I also propose and would like to suggest to develop and use the already established and good structures, yeah, as for example also in the context of Eureka further. And also because of facing financial restrictions, yeah, SMEs, you know, reach the limits of the possibilities for operation very quickly, and such an instrument as INNOWWIDE, yeah, have a great added value, since, for example, in Austria, there's no funding or any other funding scheme for internationalization of SMEs, yeah, at the national level. So what about the challenges? So facing this really good and very great picture of the impact of INNOWWIDE, I think it's a really well-functioning instrument, yeah. And in my view, from my point of view, there's no need for any other or additional instrument. Yeah? I think rather it's necessary to integrate INNOWWIDE well into ongoing and future initiatives of the European Commission. And in addition, I think it's also necessary to signal that INNOWWIDE is an instrument which is reliable for SMEs. Yeah? That means also there's appropriate funding available for all the interesting companies, etc. Maybe it's just a final point issue I would like to raise. It's on the accompanying research and also on the impact monitoring, which is very important in my point of view. And I think there are also two big questions which we have to address also in the future. First of all, how to further increase the leverage effect of INNOWWIDE, as mentioned before. There are many bottom-up approaches in countries, also on regional levels, like cluster initiatives, etc. So I think there needs to be the question to be more addressed, how can all these initiatives can be more exploited in future? And of course, other opportunities at the transnational level to further strengthen collaborations of and with SMEs, maybe also with linkages with the important projects of common European interest, the IPSAS initiative. Yeah. And that's one point which I'm a bit worried. As you have addressed in the second call, nearly half of the funded SMEs indicated or noted that they see cultural barriers as a risk, yeah, followed by political barriers. And indeed, in my view, handling this is a major challenge for companies. And the question and issue is whether SMEs can be supported more in this respect in the future, maybe by means of good practices or a guiding line or something like that. So that's just a short summary, a short view from my side, and I hand over to Jana. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Brigitte. Okay, Jana, it is your turn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carlos, thank you everyone for inviting me. And thank you, Brigitte. So now it is, a lot has been said already about INNOWWIDE. Now, external expert advisory board have been following it through its progress. And I must agree with, I certainly agree with my predecessors with mentioned that this is an innovative instrument which is placed well into the ecosystem of existing instruments. And it is amazing what it has achieved within such a short time and basically with a small amount of money. So the expert advisory board agreed that the instrument is adequate, fit for the purpose, pertinent as a preparatory phase for future cooperative research, technological development and innovation projects with partners in third countries. Now, it covers, we also agreed that it covers a clear gap in the framework of the instruments which we currently have. Now, having said that, there have been some, when looking at the management procedures, it is clear that, well, even the managers of the project itself was surprised by the interest, by the high level of interest that they have received from the applicants. And that's really very good. However, it is difficult to manage, especially considering if you have thousands of applicants and then they're applying for something like 60,000 euros. So the stress on the consortium that was running was significant. And this needs to be addressed in the future. There are several ways on how to do that. First of all, my understanding is that several applicants were not really familiar with the objective of the calls and were applying for something that is considered typical export aid, for example, which this is not, as was emphasized earlier. So just promoting the instrument and giving it time to be better known by the target audiences of SMEs would help in this respect to bring the number down. But it's also, in my opinion, very relevant that digitalization is used as much as possible to aid with the processes so that it is altogether manageable. Now, as the third question that you posed, Carlos, is whether it can be improved. Now, certainly everything can be improved. So this is a feasibility study of a project. That's why you have this basically a limited amount. You focus just on 2 calls, and you had significant impact assessment. And the results of impact assessment are really very, very encouraging. Now, thinking, of course, everything can be improved, especially when you come up with a new instrument. One of the things that appears that needs special attentions are the startups. You have seen in the data that it was about a bit less than a third of applicants were startups. Among the successful ones, however, it was only 15%. And it has been mentioned also, one of the results of the project is that it is difficult for startups to pass viability checks. And the project was flexible in this way. So the assessment was then based on the business plans. But we know the problems that are associated with assessment of business plans only. These are startups. And it's very difficult without knowing the people to expect or, let's say, anticipate what the performance would be. For this reason, for example, investors would not allocate the funds without talking to the startups first. So that might be it might be considered in the future to have a dedicated part just to be addressed separately. As for the question on whether we should have separate calls for example, certain technologies, especially, for example, in medical field, certain sectors basically come with their own requirements, that's clear. And the current instrument design is such that it allows for certain flexibilities, but it also makes it manageable within 1 call. Also, target regions, for example, may have separate specific demands. I would propose to continue with the instrument as it is now. And then when there's more experience, consider potential dedicated calls. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jana. Thank you so much, Brigitte, for your very valuable contributions. Just to sum up, I would like to stress the importance, as said by Brigitte, of more tight-knit collaboration with national instruments, and also trying to finalize its alignment within Horizon Europe, and from your side, Jana, a more dedicated approach to startups, carrying on with this current approach, and particularly putting more emphasis in the dissemination and communication effort, trying to highlight the differences with some other conventional instruments. Thank you so much to both. Francisco,
can I just,
it is your turn. Yeah, sorry, yeah,
Carlos, something that was not in your question, but I would really like to emphasize is that it's very important that the instrument is well placed into the existing ecosystem, making also full benefit, for example, of existing aids on national level. Therefore, also, as we are currently rebuilding European research area, linking this European instrument with the national funding initiatives and the national support, because basically the instruments, it would be good if the recipients of this support would have also support of the national actors, because this would also increase the trust, you know, that always, this is very important when you enter new markets. And I would also like to mention that in this respect, it's important that it's complemented by some kind of support that would take this cooperation, research and operation with third countries. And in this respect, it's important, since we are currently discussing Commission's communication on international cooperation in research and innovation, to consider to include this kind of activities also when they discuss cooperation with the partnership countries. We know that now we have various, for example, Eastern European Partnership, Transatlantic Partnership. Recently, these partnerships with various categories of countries were put in place, and it would be important to have this emphasis also included in the future activities of such partnerships. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jana, once again for your very valuable contributions. Thanks again, Brigitte. So, Francisco, it is your turn. Okay.
Thank you very much, Carlos, Brigitte, and Jana. Very, very excellent inputs, and very much in line in these discussions with everything that has been said about INNOWWIDE. I will now we will make actually a short break. We are a little bit out of schedule, but as it's manageable. So I will kindly ask if we can get back in 5 minutes, which would be around 11:20. So please, let's make just this short break and we'll get back in 5 minutes. Thank you very much, everyone. Hello, everyone. I hope that everyone is back. So let's start the second half of the final event. We have heard until now the partners, we have heard the European Commission, we have heard multipliers, our advisory board, and now it's time to actually hear the VAP beneficiaries, the companies that have actually benefited from this program. So I'm very much looking forward to this session, which is going to be managed by my colleague Faith Blakemore from Steinbeis 2i in Germany. And Faith, I have given the panelist role to all, I believe, the speakers. So if there's still any problem, please let me know. If not, I hand it over to you. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Hopefully you can all hear me at the moment, I'm hoping. So that's good. So yeah, welcome to this next part of the event where we'll be actually talking to some of the winners. So these are the those people who've benefited from INNOWWIDE. And we're going to just do a brief introduction to my colleagues. So just to give you an introduction, my name is Faith Blakemore. I'm from Steinbeis here in Germany. I've been one of the project partners for INNOWWIDE. Been helping with things like the focus groups and helping to find out what's been going on for the applicants and the winners. I'm also introducing here my colleagues, so Emanuela, Joaquin, Paula and Safaraz, who will be talking to you now. So thank you very much. I just want to hand over to you guys. I'm going to share my screen properly with you guys. Hopefully you can see that better now. So I'm just going to hand over to our panelists to be able to give a brief introduction to themselves, their companies and their VAPs, and then we'll have some time for a brief discussion and some questions. So first of all, yeah, so international outreach from our VAP beneficiaries. And handing over first of all to Emanuela. Emanuela, are you there? Typical, he's not there. Emanuela, are you online? Can we hear you? If not, we shall move forward and come back to you. Okay, we shall move forward. We shall come back to advanced microturbines. So for now, we shall move on to Joaquin. I can see that you're there. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. I'm good. Yeah, so just let me know when you want me to move forward on your slides.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the invitation to be here. It's really good to be able to explain our experience to the rest of the people. So our company, Renaissance, is an IT company founded in 2011. We started creating technology for other companies, big companies like Accenture, Indra, Telefonica, etc. And since 2016, we started creating our own products as a way to escalate the company and to grow bigger. And one of these products is 3D Sitemap VR, which is a visualization engine that we integrate in the seat selection process of the airlines. Next slide, please. So basically what we do with 3D Sitemap VR is we change the classical 2D sitemap that you all know, and we let the passenger really experience what they are paying for during the booking process, giving a lot of information using like 3D immersive views from the position of every single seat. Those are static views, so they are limited in a way, and we wanted to give much better information to the passenger and to give a much bigger immersion and the ability to really feel free in the 3D environment. But it's complicated because you have to keep it in the web, and in terms of accessibility, usability, compatibility, and it's really complicated. And here is where we bring this VAP to the reality, So we needed to work with we wanted to work with a UX studio that could help us to really understand the best approach, not just how we imagine that experience should be, but how an expert really advise you to do it. Okay, next slide, please. So what we wanted to do was creating a real 3D experience that we could integrate in the website. Okay, and as we have two big clients that are Emirates and Etihad, and they both are based on the United Arab Emirates, it only made sense to target the VAP in the United Arab Emirates, which is also very interesting because it's a world tourism hub internationally, and it's like the gate between the east and the west. So it's like very strategic place to focus your VAP. And there happens to be a great UX studio there based in Dubai that is Digital of Things. And it was our local partner for this VAP. Plus some of the staff of the Digital of Things are people that have been working in Emirates, so they have a huge experience in the airline industry. So the match was really, really perfect for us. And we knew that working with them, we could achieve a huge impact and a huge result. And in fact, it happened and we learned a lot. But I don't want to go forward. So I think we have to keep something for the question. But it's a really, really amazing experience. We have learned together really, really a lot with INNOWWIDE, and we have achieved to create the technology that we dreamed of.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I can see Emanuela is here, so I'm just going to do a little bit of hi, Emanuela. We did actually start with your slides, so I'm just going to jump back.
Yeah.
To your slides.
Okay, sorry for the delay.
That's okay, no problem, no problem. So yeah, so Emanuela, if you could introduce yourself and your company and your VAP, and then we'll move forward again.
Okay, I'm Emanuele Guglielmini. I'm the founder and CEO of the company Advanced Microturbines, which is can you please go to the other slide? It's a company born a few years ago as a spin-off of an academic institutions. Our core business is energy recovery from pipelines, so getting energy for free, harvesting water and gas using very compact turbines, which we patented. We started from a research project which ended up in a product. We won in the past the SME instrument phase 1 and 2, which allowed us to bring to the market the product, and we obtained INNOWWIDE. INNOWWIDE for us was a great opportunity to try and get out of the national border and introduce our products for energy recovery in countries where there is a lot of natural gas. So we headed to Latin America, where we had already some previous contacts and where there is a large gas infrastructure. If you could move to the next slide. So this was a bit, we choose in particularly the country of Peru. Peru is a growing economy in Latin America, is very rich in gas, has several thousands of kilometers of pipeline, and the government is making huge investments for energy. So we got in contact with a consultancy company there, which first helped us to understand what are the requirements to export our products there, which are certified in Europe, so the RC market, but we had to assess whether this could be, this certification was accepted there. We had to understand how the gas network was different from European one in terms of technical characteristics. And then the idea was making some pilots, which unfortunately have been delayed because of COVID, but I mean, that's something common to everyone. And but what was really useful was through this first contact, we got in contact also with other local companies, be installers, be engineering company, and be local manufacturers. And we had also the opportunity through this first contact was to get other contacts in neighboring countries, in particular in Colombia, which is again another country which is very rich in natural gas, and where there is again a very widespread network. So basically, essentially, INNOWWIDE was very sort of instrumental to start up this activity in Latin America, which otherwise, starting from scratch without any contact from Europe, would have required a huge investment, and maybe we are not even, which some of them were not even affordable for a small company. And so it sort of opened the doors for this huge market, which is Latin America in terms of energy applications. So this is a bit what we did.
That's great. Thank you, Manuela. So we shall just move quickly back through to the next slide. And I shall hand over now to Paula. So Paula, hi, if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you fine.
Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, or even good evening, everyone. My name is Paula, and I'm the Business Development Manager at LS Aqua. We've been selected for INNOWWIDE program with a project called STEER, Sustainable Feed for Shrimp Aquaculture in Indonesia. Please, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, thank you. First of all, LS Aqua is the recent section of the Belgian company Lambert Segers, and we are specialized in aquaculture nutrition, aiming to provide a sustainable product that can reduce the use of fish meal and antibiotics in aquaculture sector. For this, we developed our protein source that's called LS Aqua Suspro, and it's a blend of alternative raw materials such as single cell protein. Can you go on, please, Faith? Okay. The main objective of the INNOWWIDE project was to start the market uptake of our shrimp feed products in the third largest shrimp aquaculture producer in the world, which is Indonesia. In Indonesia, aquaculture sector is growing every year. However, the creation of the new shrimp farms is not going in parallel with local supplies of feed and supplements. So the country depends on the import of such products. Therefore, we saw there a great opportunity. After analyzing the country's market, we got in contact with Nutricen, a local company that supplies feed additives and premix, not only for aquaculture, but also for livestock. And through weekly meetings, we discuss and define the market aspects, such as the HS code, policies, regulations, etc. But also we learn about the cultural aspects and the way of working. Finally, we draw up a protocol and a cooperation methodology that can be extrapolated to further countries. We would like to highlight 2 points of the project. The first one is that we developed the product together with Nutricen, taking in consideration as well the raw materials available in Indonesia, the prices and necessities. And this will differentiate us from the standard products into the market. And the most important point that we want to highlight is that we ended up the project with the signature of a commercial agreement where we agreed to combine our protein source with the premix to offer a new sustainable product. Right now, we are in the process to apply for an importing license, and we think that INNOWWIDE helps to accelerate this process and to develop this protocol. So, the last slide. We thank you so much, INNOWWIDE, for this opportunity, and also to everybody for listening to me. And here you have my contact. I will share if you want also through the chat. Thank you, Faith.
Great. Thank you, Paula. Thank you. And now we shall move on to the last short presentation. Sarfraz, if you want to go for it.
Yeah. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Sarfraz Sayed, Managing Director of Next Generation Sensors. We disrupt the current contamination analysis market with a handheld molecular contaminant screener by bringing the lab to the sample. By doing so, we contribute to food safety and food waste reduction. Can you move to next slide, Faith? Food safety incidents are becoming a major issue these days because of lack of on-site and real-time contamination detection technologies. In Europe, recently we had fipronil egg scandal, salmonella baby milk scandal, and more recently, listeria meat scandal. If I talk about the salmonella baby milk scandal, bacteria entered the food value chain when they were drying milk to convert to baby milk powder. This scandal has not only resulted in damage to the reputation of European agri-food industry, dozens of babies fell ill, and Lactalis has to recall products from 83 countries and destroyed. It resulted in tremendous loss of food wastage. The main problem with current state-of-the-art technologies is the logistical problem of bringing the sample to the lab. And by the time results are out, the food, if contaminated, can already be in supermarket or consumed by consumers. Not only that, the process is time-consuming, expensive, and as well as experts are needed, and there is no traceability to the source of food scandal. We are going to change that by bringing lab to the sample with a handheld molecular contaminant screener based on portable mass spectrometry. Our device is user-friendly, it is rapid, and no sample preparation is required, and it measures in real time, providing conclusive results. HMCS is so disruptive in nature that there is a global need for this device. On top of European market, we also target the Indian market due to its huge potential. And that is why we have Faith. Can you move to the next slide, please? Yeah. And that is why we have performed the INNOWWIDE VAP project in India together with subcontractors SEED and INDOSED for technical and market viability assessment. Together with SEED, we integrated our solution with blockchain technology, thus providing traceability of the contaminants and data security. We also performed a small-scale POC to prove the concept of it. And with INDOSED, we looked into regulations and certifications need to be met in India if you want to launch our product. What are the market barriers, tariff barriers, and taxes? And also with INDOSED, we perform economic viability studies with potential customers. And we like our technology was very, let's say, very well received by the customers, in various sectors, from dairy to aquaculture to agri-food. But for immediate future studies, we have planned pilot studies with in aquaculture industry with Iruwaka for monitoring of water quality in fisheries. Because of bad water quality, 15% of the seafood is lost in fisheries. And we also have pilot studies planned with the Seafood Exporters Associations of India for contaminant analysis monitoring in seafood, specifically antibiotics. Because of high level of MRLs and due to strict regulations in EU, they cannot export 80% of the produce, and they would like to improve that, And with these two customers, we have a potential of hundreds of units. And because of INNOWWIDE, we were able to do all this. So we thank the INNOWWIDE community for it.
That's great. Thank you. So yeah, as you can see, we've got quite a range of people here to present to you today and have a further discussion. So what we're going to do now, I'm just going to leave this slide on the screen so you know who's talking and how they were integrated into INNOWWIDE, so whether first call or second call, and where they were focused, just in case anybody in the audience wants to know for questions. But I'm going to start the conversation going. So I've got some questions that I want to put to you. Obviously, we've all had our own little conversations before this event so that we could get to know each other a bit. And there's some really interesting points that I learned from each of you that I thought this would be really worth sharing to everybody here. So my first question is actually to Paula. So when we were talking, the thing that really struck me is the fact that you came to INNOWWIDE with concept, and it seems like INNOWWIDE really helped you to come up with a commercial product that you could then put into a new cultural market. So it was not just an economic market, but a cultural market as well. I just wondered if you could just discuss that process and how INNOWWIDE helped with that commercialization and cultural aspects.
Yes, Actually, our mother company, Lambert Segers, only work locally. So we only know the market in Belgium. So for us, it was a huge challenge to go abroad, and also with a sector that's aquaculture, which is also quite new. And yeah, the first meetings were a tentative to know a bit how the reaction, how they respond to the meetings online, because before we've been once in Asia, and we know they like the face-to-face meetings, so it's kind of meetings online, they were like a kind of a challenge, but they were really receptive, and we asked them a lot of questions and they answered, so they were really easy to work with. And we were one of the things that surprised me the most is that Indonesia is a Muslim country, so there are products coming from pig that they will not accept. So it was really a long process to debate which products do you have there, which ones you use, how is the feed. Also, the way of culture shrimps is really completely different from Europe, because we have another system and we don't have a lot of aquaculture of shrimp. So it was a lot of conversation and sharing to arrive to develop a product together. And as I explained, it's a product that's not like the others in the market, because the other in the market, they explain they are standard. So they use a standard and they sell it everywhere. So we just focus in learn how the market works.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this answers your question, but
yes, yeah, I think that was what I found quite interesting when we were talking, was the fact that it wasn't just a matter of you taking your concept and building a product that would be commercially successful in this market here. It was also about the learnings that you got from working with a completely different culture that you'd never worked with before, and actually the importance of what you needed to do as a business to be able to deliver a new market into a new product into a new market. Yeah. Actually how essential INNOWWIDE had been in terms of generating those learnings that you can now take further. So yeah, I found that very, very interesting. And just to move on now, Sarfaraz, I know we were talking and you've got a similar sort of focus in some ways, because when we were talking, you were saying, oh, we've got, you know, work that we're doing in the shrimp industry in India, dealing with aquaculture. And I noticed that there were some similarities there, but obviously a very different product here. In terms of the technological product that you're developing. And one of the things that you mentioned to me was about how you're developing a product that can be used out in the value chain, out in the market. So you're going to have a way that you take your product out to the people rather than people having to come to you. And I just wondered if you could let us know a bit more about how you develop this business model and this commercial product along the value chain, and how INNOWWIDE helped you with that.
INNOWWIDE helped us in with three things. First, co-creation of the technology with the subcontractor. Second is knowing regulations and the market barriers that we should address. And the third is about the market validation, speaking with actually potential clients. You know, now during my presentation, I mentioned about the Seafood Exporters Association of India and IRUACA. Even though they are both involved in the aquaculture industry, they are two different clients. With the Seafood Exporters Association, they want to test when the shrimps comes from the farmer to the distributors and exporters, you know, to test for antibiotics before they process it, you know. And so the system will be placed at the factory. With IRUACA, they are the largest aquatech provider in India. They want to create a sort of a nodal network along the coastlines where the shrimp farms are sort of, you know, integrated in clusters, so that the farmer can bring in the sample of water, test it immediately, and take necessary actions if there are some contaminants is present. So this also helped us in understanding what business models should be for what customer. With the Seafood Exporters Association of India, big companies, large amount of money, one-off sale, they will buy the device. With IRUACA, we are discussing more sort of a revenue sharing model and a pay-per-use model, where we and IRUACA both invest partly in the device in setting up these nodal points, and then we charge customers pay-per-use, and we share the revenue.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. And all of this came about because of INNOWWIDE, because of the work you did through the VAP and then working with these partners and being able to develop new ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Very interesting.
Our minor subcontractor, Indosat, it's a certification agency, so they put us into contact with a lot of potential clients in various sectors, and it all came through INNOWWIDE. Yeah.
Great, that's wonderful. Great to hear. Okay, and just moving on to Joaquin, then we were talking in our conversation about so the thing that you mentioned was about the relationship with your partner, so that you'd kind of develop this relationship with this UX studio, but it seemed like it actually came as quite a surprise to you how valuable this partnership was going to be. And you mentioned these two different options that you'd got in your head beforehand, and you thought this was the way you were going to go. And I just wondered if you could discuss that process of working with the partner and how important that was for you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, very briefly. So I think one of the great things of INNOWWIDE is that it helps you learn along the way. So as you said, we have like two options in mind to execute our technology. One that was our first idea and the one that we wanted to do, and we thought it was the obvious one. And then we have like a B option just in case. At the end, we discovered that the first option will have taken us to invest a lot of money, resources, and time in a solution that was not working for what we wanted to do. And instead, the second option was the ideal and the perfect one. We discovered it during the INNOWWIDE with the technological studio that you have to perform, and at the top of it with the UX studio from Dubai with digital things, because we discovered that actually the users like they didn't like the first option at all. So it was like the obvious for us, but they didn't like the experience, the interface, the use case for this was not a match for what we wanted. And instead, the second option was like they loved it. It was like a reveal for us. It was like, whoa, I mean, we would have never thought of that without the help of really experts in UX and UI, and it was really, really valuable for us.
And you also mentioned the particular country, the UAE, where you were working, that how important that was as a specific market because of the fact that it's a bit of a melting pot for different cultures and different people. I wondered if you could extend on that a little bit.
Yeah, like in United Arab Emirates, you have more or less like 80% of the population is from abroad. They are not locals. So you have a huge, like a mini world inside the United Arab Emirates. And this company, Digital of Things, they have a pool of testing users that they work with. So you can tell it if you want this kind of specific like persona, and they can find the right people for your studio regarding anything that you can think of, like economic level, of course, sex, age, country, anything that you want. They have it there in Dubai. It's like the perfect place to be if you want to perform UX studios.
Yeah. Yeah, and just in case anybody doesn't know what UX means, I realize we're using these terms.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Experience and user experience is about putting the human at the heart of any product development. So making sure that you test with your actual users, taking those learnings and making sure you push the product in the direction of where your users are going to be, which then makes it more successful inevitably. So it feels like that process of putting things to the user, doing that human-centered approach was actually really useful in helping you direct your product.
Yeah, it was game changing. I mean, they can perform like emotion studio on the users. They can track their gaze to see what they are looking. It's a very exhaustive testing, and it just like bring light on your development so that you can really see the path to keep.
Yeah, brilliant. Really good to hear. And moving on to Emanuela. Now, what I'm aware of is you're obviously a winner in the first call, so you've actually had more time to come out of INNOWWIDE and have some further learnings, some further outcomes. And I'm aware that you have taken a lot of your learnings and actually pushed it into new potential funding calls, new partnerships. And I wondered if you could talk especially about your partnership with Medius, another INNOWWIDE winner, and with the impacts to move things forward because of that.
Yeah, this was something very interesting and probably totally unforecasted. It happened when was almost 2 years ago. I went to Karlsruhe to one of the presentation event of INNOWWIDE just after we have been informed we won the grant. And on that occasion, there were 4 winners from 4 different countries, including Medius, a company from Slovenia working in software in a totally different business project, which was something on blockchain, if I recall. And then what happened that besides our technology for gas, we have also another line of products for water. We have all the hardware, and we were interested in having something, some software to post-process all the data we are collecting on the field, on the pipelines, and so forth. So we found out that there was another Cascade grant, which was somehow with the same, let's say, type of family like INNOWWIDE, so Cascade grant based on digitalization of hardware solution. The grant was called DigiFed, and so it was a sort of perfect match because it was requiring two companies of 2 countries, one more working hardware, the other one more working software. So one day I took the phone, I called the CEO of Medius, said, look, there could be this opportunity. Why don't you work on post-processing the data we get from our hardware, and we work together for, let's say, a joint product, win-win, which you offer a software module and we offer the hardware. And why we don't apply for DigiFed? So we wrote together the grant application, and actually it was successful, and we are just now starting now with this new project, which all stem from this encounter there in Karlsruhe, and probably otherwise there would be no way I would have met Medius in my life, of course. So thanks to Faith, thanks to organizing the event, it was we had the opportunity to get to this new project, this new product, which is very interesting because it's addressing the issue of water leakage and water losses in piping, which is a very hot topic these days.
It's very, I mean, for me, it's very interesting because this is not an outcome that we could have envisaged. It's not something that's specifically coming through the INNOWWIDE call itself, but actually INNOWWIDE as a greater network. So INNOWWIDE as a project in and of itself, it has introduced people, to other entrepreneurs, to other startups. And it's really interesting to see how those relationships have actually now develop the companies yet further. And I think the thing that's really important for me is to see the importance of co-creation, the importance of working together, to finding complementary partners, which obviously INNOWWIDE was doing itself, but INNOWWIDE has inadvertently done without even realizing through the info sessions, like you say, that we did in Karlsruhe a couple of years ago. So it was really good for me to see that there was tangible impacts that we could predict, and there's also impacts that we in no way could predict. And I think that's some of the great outcomes and learnings we're getting from INNOWWIDE. I think one of the other things, if we've got time, hopefully, just wanted to put a question to all of you actually, which is obviously all of you have got some learnings. You've all gone through this process. But speaking to each of you individually, it feels like your learnings have all been slightly different. And I wondered if you could just capture briefly for us what your greatest learning was, or your greatest outcome that came from INNOWWIDE. Maybe Paula, if we could start with you.
Yes, for us, the major outputs of the project were this protocol and methodology to tackle the countries from a commercial perspective. It will be really useful for us to accelerate the process and to go really faster into other countries. And also, as I mentioned, is the signature of the contract, and then now we are going further to the commercial phase. So yeah, I think for me are the major learners. Yeah,
brilliant. That's great. Great to hear. And yeah, I'm just going in my little list here. So Joaquin, if you could say, what was your greatest learning or output?
Well, for us, I think that the greatest one is that you have to open your eyes and keep your mind open also. So maybe your basis and what you have always believed that it's the right option is not such. once you put yourself in your customer's shoes, maybe you will discover a whole world of different options that are better. And also in the VAP, and it's something that I wanted to highlight. I want to let the people know that the VAP is a feasibility studio and analysis that may result in the do your product, don't do your product, or maybe do it but differently from what you thought. And all of those three variables are great and are valid. So I really encourage people to take a chance.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Thank you. Sarfaraz, just wondering, for you in your experience, what was your greatest impact or outcome?
To begin with, the greatest learning was if you have the right complementary partners, then you can implement the project better than you envisage, And the greatest outcome is developing this relationship and collaboration with the potential clients and getting them involved in the further development of the minimum viable product, via pilot studies, creating this synergy between the technology inventor, that is us, and the clients. That is the greatest outcome, And we have some, good, commercial potential with these clients.
That's great. Really good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Manuela, same question to you.
Yeah, for me, I would say that the most important thing I learned is, the way on how to deal and interact with local company in Peru and more broadly in Latin America, the way it's important to build a network also, with several meetings, with several, keeping always the contact, because there the relationships are more, let's say, informal than here, and finding reliable partners, because what you have in the end, you are on the other side, in Europe, you have to rely on somebody that takes care of introducing products in another continent, basically. And so it's very important to slowly build up this network of people that can help both on the market side and also on the installation side, and also talking through them to the end users.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seems like INNOWWIDE for all of you has been a really essential element within each of the developments that you've had, and that it's really helped to push you forward. And I thank you for all of your feedback. That's been great. I don't know, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I can't see the chat, so I can't see if there's been any questions. But Chiara, is there any questions? Do we have any time for any further questions?
Also, I think no, Faith, we should, if possible, close the session. We are a little bit out of schedule, but no problem.
Thank you very much to all the panelists of that session. Thank you. Very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you all. And thank you to all the VAP winners to be able to share your experience. This has been quite interesting. As I mentioned, we are moving forward to the next session as we are a little bit out of schedule. Now we will look at the policy side of INNOWWIDE with views from the European Commission and the EUREC initiative. So I'll just pass the word to Luis Gonzalez Soto, who is the project coordinator of INNOWWIDE on behalf of CDTI. So Luis, please, I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you very much, Francisco. Welcome to the next speakers that I know are very busy people, and well, we are a bit delayed. I excuse for this delay. I will present them. Mrs. Anna Panagopoulou is Director of ERA and Innovation at the European Commission. Is responsible for research and innovation policy and engagement, dialogue and collaboration with member states and different stakeholders on research and innovation policy, investments and reforms. Beforehand, Mrs. Panagopoulou has been director to the Directorate Common Implementation Center, responsible for the implementation strategy of EU research and innovation programs. Until June, Ulrich Schuh was president of the Eureka Association.
Nowadays, he's director for economic policy at WBPZ Research in Vienna and member of the Austrian Fiscal Council and the Austrian Financial Market Stability Board. Ulrich has been Director General for Innovation and Economy at the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Chairman of the High-Level Group of Competitiveness at the European Council. Miguel Bello, the last speaker, since July is new president of Eureka, is the CEO of the Atlantic International Research Center, and as entrepreneur, he was the founder and CEO of Deimos Group, present in 5 European countries. He's an expert in space systems and technologies. Miguel is member of the Astronautic International Academy, the Astrodynamics Committee in the International Astronautical Federation, and the ESA Space Degrees Advisory Group, among other technical groups. Just before I start, let me recap some key facts about INNOWWIDE. Some has been said this morning, another maybe has not been highlighted. First, evidence of the feasibility. 2 INNOWWIDE calls has shown the possibility to facilitate the European SMEs, the development of partnerships with strategic counterparts from countries outside Europe to undertake co-creation and further joint business development through the VIPs that were conceived as preparatory phases of joint RTDI projects underpinning the product development stage. Second, the acceptance by the clients. VIPs have high demand with good quality. I believe that almost 1,000 submissions in 2 calls, of which 25% were above threshold in the evaluation, show this concept. At the same time, these were equally distributed in the 3 target third country groups with a strong participation of 7 countries that should be extended if we go to go ahead in future. Third is the usefulness of the VIPs, which are the open door for the door opener for internationalization of European SMEs. 90% establishes new networks, 63% cooperated in the target country for first time, 59 entered new formal collaboration with a local partner. Last, the effectiveness of the instrument. We have tangible results that are 88% strengthening networks and improving the market knowledge of the participants. 81% confirmed technology feasibility, and 70%, which is very relevant, envisage a new RTDI joint projects with their counterparts. The beneficiaries also declared that in the 94% that VIPs created an impact in their competitiveness. 74% maintained or safeguarded jobs. That in the situation of Corona is very important, and 38 created new jobs. Almost all, 96% expect an increase in revenues or an extension of their research and development activities as a result of the VIP. Besides the above, the external experts advisory group board conclusions are relevant. For example, the VIPs are deemed adequate and pertinent as preparatory phase for future RTDI projects. They cover a gap within the EU RTDI financial support framework. And this is important because it's related to the connection with Eureka and with the funding in the different countries for the RTDI projects. INNOWWIDE is essential to SMEs internationalization process that are complex and require a long-term view. To be tackled and overcome persistent technical, cultural, and commercial barriers deserve additional efforts. It's a word of INNOWWIDE. Not only digital or biotech are crucial in alignment with the SEA policy, but manufacturing, energy, agri-food, health technologies, the more classical sectors deserve attention too. INNOWWIDE could be the precursor of a new Horizon Europe international SME instrument to promote a complete cycle of implementation of win-win international collaborative SME-driven research and innovation projects. And finally, in consequence, collaboration of Eureka with the EC and funding bodies in third countries and in different European countries will open avenues to implement such approach. Having this in mind, now allow me to present to you the questions for your interventions. How do you assess, the first one, how do you assess the execution of INNOWWIDE till now? Second, does INNOWWIDE fit the plans for further development of EC policies for research and innovation internationalization? Third, does INNOWWIDE have additional value to the Eureka strategy of internationalization? The fourth is, could you explain, if possible, how do you contemplate the potential insertion of an INNOWWIDE continuation in the future development of Horizon Europe? I will not preempt the order of interventions, but I suggest for the Commission the answer to the more related EC policies questions, which are the second, does INNOWWIDE fit the plans for further development of EC policies for research and innovation internationalization, and to explain, if possible, how do you contemplate the potential insertion of INNOWWIDE in the future development of Horizon Europe? The floor is yours, please.
Good morning to everybody. Thank you, Luis, for this invitation, and I'm extremely happy to be with you. I'm very delighted that I'm here today with the past Austrian presidency of chair of Eureka and the new Portuguese chair of Eureka. And I think this panel today demonstrates the excellent collaboration that has been established already between the European Commission and Eureka, which is there and will continue to be there. And the INNOWWIDE is part of this collaboration. I was extremely happy to hear shortly before our panel the interventions from the winners of the VATs, and I was extremely happy to hear how excited they are for their participation to this project, to this program. And I'm also very happy to hear, Luis, the very positive experiences that you had, or the statistics that you demonstrate the importance of the INNOWWIDE scheme. So we consider in the European Commission that the INNOWWIDE scheme has been very impactful and achieved its goals as defined in its initial call objectives. And this success has been possible because thanks to the leadership also of the Center for the Development of Industrial Technology, to which I want to express my special thanks today. And I would like to congratulate Mr. Ponce, the General Director of ZDDI, also for hosting this event today. I think that what it is done in the INNOWWIDE scheme is very much related to the European policies that has been established over the year, in particular in the context of innovation. Because supporting the internalization of SMEs and their innovative capacities in foreign market is not an easy task. And in targeting different market types from non-developed markets, such as Africa, to highly developed markets, such as USA, in a single global approach has worked very well to this project. So well done and congratulations. As Eureka high-level representative of the European Commission, I can only congratulate the consortium composed of the 5 Eureka members agencies plus the Eureka Secretariat as the main implementing body, supported by the 4 other consortium partners. The proven impact of the scheme and the sound and SME-friendly implementation method have supported us in the idea to continue the scheme. And together with my colleagues of the Directorate in DG Research and Innovation responsible for international cooperation, as well as the colleagues from the agencies of REA and the new ACE-MEA agency, which is headed by Jean-David Malo, we have carefully followed INNOWWIDE over the last period. The positive evolution and the success of this pilot action under Horizon 2020 encourage us to think bigger and further for our new framework program in Horizon Europe. So therefore, and given the success of the 2 INNOWWIDE calls, the uniqueness of the instrument, and the fact that it fits very well in the current and future European innovation policies, but also international cooperation policies for research and innovation, will be very much interesting to continue the action together with all participating Eureka member states in the spirit of the Team Europe approach. This would allow a better alignment of the EU innovation policies across all participating member states, while at the same time appropriately responding to the bigger political picture and thereby increasing visibility and impact. So where we stand now, Eureka has submitted already in May 2020 its draft proposal for the innovative SME partnership, which was already published by the Commission as the planned co-fund partnership under Horizon Europe. We are very glad to see that the proposed integration, there is a continuation of INNOWWIDE as part of this partnership because of the internationalization aspects of the SME, which became even more evident nowadays. The global reach of the innovative SME partnership with clearly 40 countries involved and the participation from Canada, South Korea, Singapore, South Africa, combined with the hands-on INNOWWIDE viability assessment projects can effectively support European SMEs either before or during or even after the collaborative innovation projects. So that's why, as Director responsible for Horizon Europe work program for European innovation ecosystems, I'm very glad that jointly with our member states in the program committee and based on the Eureka proposal, we'll now integrate INNOWWIDE in the future co-fund partnership, the innovative SMEs, as I said. And there we're talking about a specific budget of 25 million euros only for INNOWWIDE, meaning 10% of the total EU contribution to the partnership. We expect there at least 400 additional INNOWWIDE projects over the years 2022 to 2027. We think that this INNOWWIDE integration into the future joint partnership program will pave the way to support further the internalization of SMEs. How this work is linked to the future or the current and the future European policies, both in the context of international cooperation, but also in the context of new European innovation strategy. First of all, on the 18th of May, the Commission launched a new communication on a global approach for research and innovation, which provides the framework for collaboration with international partners under the principle that we have to be open, we need to strengthen the international cooperation in order to meet the global challenges. But on the other side, we need to better promote and protect the vital interest and strategic autonomy of the Union. And in this context, we know very well that the grassroots of innovators are appearing everywhere, from big cities to remote rural areas. Therefore, the continuation of the INNOWWIDE program scheme in the context of foster and tap into the potential and establish win-win international innovation partnerships is extremely important. There are a lot of initiatives that have been started also in the context of the Africa-Europe Innovation Partnership that you probably know, the new Enrich in Africa project. So we are very much willing to reinforce and to capitalize on the INNOWWIDE instrument in order to deliver the objectives of this new global approach communication. Last but not least, I would like to inform you all that we are currently working on the development of the new innovation strategy for Europe, where we would like to address the innovation divide across Europe and the fragmentation of the innovation ecosystems. There is a lot of discussions, a lot of consultation currently, and Eureka Secretariat will be very much associated to this work. In this context, the international aspects of innovation policy, they will certainly also take into consideration. So thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to continue the collaboration in the new framework period.
Luis, I think you are muted.
Thank you, Anna. Who is going to continue? Maybe Ulrich?
Okay, so thank you very much, Luis. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to all participants who joined in today from all over the world. From my side, I want to express my congratulations to all the members of the INNOWWIDE consortium, the stakeholders, and the participants to the great achievements that have been achieved over the last 2 years. It was certainly one of the highlights of the Austrian chairmanship. And with this, I would say INNOWWIDE is certainly a success story. We had 120 VIPs up to now, and we see the high interest in this instrument in the community, which is proved by the high number of applications and the positive feedback from the participants. But I would also want to stress that this success story also is one of the specific format of Eureka cooperation. Eureka cooperation means that we use existing national infrastructure plus the Eureka Secretariat, that we use variable geometry, meaning that only a subset of Eureka members participated in this initiative, in this pilot, and also the bottom-up approach, which was also mentioned in the presentations, is very helpful. And these are the key ingredients for this success story. That's why Eureka allows, with this setup, to test specific formats like INNOWWIDE with comparable low cost and low risk. And the dynamics within the two cores showed that the interest now spread more widely among member states and companies, which indicates that there is a good chance that most member states of the EU will benefit from this program in the future. So certainly positive on this side. I also want to confirm that I also see that INNOWWIDE fits into the plans of the European Commission policies for R&D and innovation. As we face currently the big challenge for European innovation policies, which is that we have to make more out of the excellent ideas and the research that is available in Europe. Where Europe currently lags behind is in channeling research results into business models. And in this respect, INNOWWIDE helps in two ways. First, it addresses explicitly innovative SMEs and their market potential. And in this respect, I think it's very important to understand that INNOWWIDE is no core innovation instrument, but it's more an accompanying measures. And that's as it is foreseen in the future. So it helps innovative SMEs to explore their future market potential. And the second thing, INNOWWIDE promotes the internationalization of innovative SMEs. It follows the idea of Eureka, namely that cooperation is superior to autarky. The most important lesson from the COVID pandemic, in my view, is that the current societal and economic challenges are global and can only be solved by global cooperation. And I'm convinced that the trend of the last decade of more inward orientation of the big economic blocks will be reversed. And INNOWWIDE in general, but also Eureka, offers the opportunity to test cooperation with close neighbors like Western Balkan, where Eureka started an initiative, but also to more distant international partners like we have in Africa or South America. So concerning the Eureka strategy of internationalization, I think Miguel can certainly tell more about that. This will be certainly a priority of Portuguese chairmanship, but I'm sure that INNOWWIDE can help a lot in this respect. And we have had recently a re-evaluation of our main areas of focus for the future, and INNOWWIDE was certainly helpful in this respect. Finally, some outlook concerning the continuation of INNOWWIDE in the future. As Anna mentioned, INNOWWIDE has been identified in the EIE work package as one of the main accompanying measures to the Partnership on Innovative SMEs. And the Partnership on Innovative SMEs will function not only as another funding program, it will also offer the participants a wide range of support activities. In addition to regular calls, for a proposal. This partnership incorporates Eureka INNOWWIDE program, which aims at facilitating partner search and market access in an agile way. And Eurostar's participants will also have the opportunity to connect with other programs and services in the European innovation landscape. One point is very important in my view, namely the involvement of member states in the implementation. It was one of the strengths of the INNOWWIDE pilot, and it is one of the principles of Eureka corporations and partnerships that the members are actively contributing. And as I mentioned, it's no traditional innovation instrument, so also economic promotion agencies at the national level might be approached to contribute to this initiative. We have to avoid that the accompanying measure INNOWWIDE poses the whole burden of implementation to the Eureka Secretariat. I think this would be no good idea. I'm a bit skeptical whether it will be possible to receive funding at the national level for the INNOWWIDE initiative. Of course, it would be a great thing, but I think it will be very difficult to achieve this because you need to have budget plans on the national level for this. One of the lessons in my view from the INNOWWIDE pilot was that due to the setup, which led to a huge number of small-scale projects, the risk of high administrative costs is here. Therefore, the format of the INNOWWIDE accompanying measures should be adapted in the direction to provide the best service to innovative SMEs at the lowest possible cost, so that we can make most out of the support that is given from the European Commission for this initiative. So thanks a lot. Thanks for the cooperation. Thanks to the European Commission for the support, and I look forward to a great success, which will be then for Miguel to make it happen. So all the best.
Miguel, floor is yours.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation to participate in this important event for the INNOWWIDE final program. But let me address the 4 questions that you, Luis, presented to us. Well, the first one, how do you assess the execution of the INNOWWIDE till now? Well, the different contributions that we had today, and in particular the introduction that you, Luis, did, demonstrate the effectiveness and the efficiency of this program. The processes for the internationalization of our SMEs are complex and very time-consuming. In this sense, INNOWWIDE is essential to help them keep this extended effort. The preliminary statistics on the impact assessment exercise presents an impressive financial and strategic leverage effect on the beneficiaries' SMEs. The success of INNOWWIDE is demonstrated also by the enormous response received, with an important oversubscription. In the future, more than 1,000 VAPs can be expected, as it was the case of the pilot program. It is also remarkable how COVID-19 issues have not affected significantly the success of this program, with online alternative tools offered to VAP beneficiaries, online demos, meeting, event procedures, and also contingency plan requested well in advance. These measures allowed to minimize the impact of the pandemics in the implementation of the projects. The INNOWWIDE Impact Assessment Report presents interesting data regarding the beneficiaries and the local partners. And Luis, you presented all the statistics, but we are impressed by 3 of those results. We are impressed by 88% strength local network and contacts, 81% confirmed the technical feasibility, and 70% prepare, in fact, the continuation of the activity. That means this is a preparatory program, but 70% ends in a positive action. Regarding the second question, does INNOWWIDE fit in the plans for the European Commission policies? Well, this question is obviously best answered by Anna, and in fact, has been answered in a very clear and positive way. But please let me say some words, as Portugal just finished his chairmanship of the European Commission during the last semester just a few days ago. Well, for us, INNOWWIDE has a perfect fit in the development of the European Commission Internationalization Plan for Research and Innovation. Current high-level negotiation in the European Union strategy for international cooperation, like the Euro-Atlantic, Eastern Europe and Africa strategic partnerships, can be greatly supported and implemented thanks to programs like INNOWWIDE. As Ulrich just said, INNOWWIDE as Eureka has a bottom-up approach. However, it is compatible with the aim of Portugal, as chairman of the network, to encourage the implementation of projects toward the green and digital transitions, which are strategic lines of the European Union. It is of maximum interest the involvement of the network in international initiatives directly linked with the Horizon Europe missions and the Green Deal, focusing on policy priorities such as sustainability or circular economy, all corresponding to major challenges of our society, promoting the collaboration with local organizations in the target regions through this INNOWWIDE program. From Portugal, we promote projects linked to the Green Deal in areas like Earth observation from space, increased synergies between space, ocean, atmosphere, climate, leading to a digital twin Earth, and the promotion of artificial intelligence and its combination with Earth observation so that our SMEs can develop new products and services in collaboration with local organizations in the target regions. Regarding the third question, does INNOWWIDE have additional value to the Eureka strategy? Well, we have to say that the most important strategic line proposed by the Portuguese chairmanship, as Ulrich already advanced, for that period between July 21 and June 22, is to increase the global outreach of the Eureka network. And for this objective, INNOWWIDE program is of paramount importance. This is the third time that Portugal assumes the chairmanship of Eureka. In the previous occasion, Portugal also had as one of the fundamental objectives to increase the global outreach of Eureka. In fact, in the past was focusing on Asia, with the incorporation of South Korea as associated country during the second presidency of Portugal. On this new occasion, Portugal also has one of the strategic line to increase the footprint, but this time shifting the focus to the Atlantic, aiming at collaboration with countries in Africa and Latin America. In addition, we shall give continuity and priority to the working groups created under the Austria chairmanship for Western Balkans and Africa. The INNOWWIDE program is an important tool to implement the Eureka strategy towards this global footprint with those target regions. Another important strategic line in our chairmanship is to strengthen the relation with the European Union within Horizon Europe. The consolidation of new programs like INNOWWIDE or Invest Horizon are key steps to strengthen this close collaboration with the European Union. The last question, how we could explain the potential insertion of a continuation of INNOWWIDE into Horizon Europe, has been very well explained by Anna, but we also agree that we see INNOWWIDE as the seed and precursor of a new full-fledged Horizon Europe international SME instrument to promote the complete cycle of implementation of international collaborative research projects for the development of new products, services, and processes. The close collaboration of Eureka with the European Commission and with the funding bodies of third countries is of paramount importance to open new ways to implement such approach. As we said before, in the context of current European Commission high-level negotiation, like European Union Strategy for International Cooperation, Euro-Atlantic, Eastern Europe, Africa Strategic Partnership, we understand that the INNOWWIDE SME innovation-led internationalization is a perfect approach. The future development of the European Commission Horizon Europe strategy for SMEs internationalization should be based in the continuation of the INNOWWIDE pilot program that we are closing today. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you to all of you. Well, just a comment, final comment. I don't know if you want to intervene more, but I would like to make a comment. I believe there is agreement in the continuation of Eurostars, and I will confess you that I have the fame that I always ask for more. So, if we agree that it's feasible, it's useful, potentiate the SMEs, the clients, and we have a long clientele, why not to put more money in the engine? Really, if we are going to perform 400 in the next period of Horizon Europe, 400 VIPs, maybe the objective should be 4,000. Why not? The European SMEs need this push to growth. It's so important, from my point of view, the international cooperation, as it is the reinforcement with seed capital, with growth capital instruments. Why not to bet for this new instrument that demonstrates his value and his potential? is my plea from my side. And I hope with the years, the INNOWWIDE approach will give their fruits and will continue giving Europe another tool for reinforcement of their competitiveness. Thank you. And again, thank you to the speakers for your time. And well, we will continue in touch during the Portuguese chairmanship, because the four are in the management of Eureka. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Luis, and to all speakers. It was a great pleasure to hear you on this thematic and on the potential continuation of INNOWWIDE and what the Commission and the Eureka has been doing in this sense. Without further ado, and as we are more than 20 minutes ahead of delayed on our schedule, and apologies to our next two speakers for having to wait. But now we are close to finishing the session. We'll have this last session on now on the perspective of other two initiatives that the European Commission is supporting that also promote European innovation at the global level. So first we'll have the speech from my dear colleague Svetlana Klesova, who is the director of GAC in France and currently the coordinator of the Enrich initiative in the United States, and also the president of the association created by the Enrich partners, Enrich Global, who will present the Enrich Centers initiative. And we'll also have, after that, the presentation from Egbert Schramm, who is the CEO of Offsted Insights, an organization focused on business culture, and that will present, and is the coordinator of the QBean project, also promoted by the European Commission. And so this is actually very two interesting initiatives. We have been hearing a lot today, and also in the comments from the participants on wanting to know more about Enrich, and particularly about Enrich in Africa. And so we'll have the presentation from Svetlana. And also there was a topic that was discussed concerning the risks of business culture at the international level. And we'll have also the speech from Egbert on that. And I believe that QBean addresses also that point. So I will pass now the word to Svetlana. I believe that you can share your screen. So please, Svetlana, if you can. We can see.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can as well. Thank you very much.
Perfect. And I hope you can see my screen. Okay. Hello, everyone. And so I'm Svetlana Klesova, GSC Group, and I now have less than 8 minutes to present you Enrich Network. Okay, so I'll do my best, but you will have the slides later on from the organizers. So INNOWWIDE greatly help you and also other European companies to explore the market to make the first step. So Enrich initiatives will help you to make a bigger step. Okay, so to continue your exploration and your win of the market. So Enrich is a network promoted initially by the European Commission with the goal that the network becomes sustainable. And our goal is to internationalize European research innovation to support this internationalization. Okay, so who are clients of Enrich network? So these are research actors, innovation actors, and businesses. Okay, and of course, it's not only companies, but also multipliers, accelerators, and funding agencies. The umbrella of Enrich is wide. So inside there are different Enrich initiatives, and we are all working in synergy, providing common services, interacting together. So for the best of our clients. Yeah. So the journey, as you saw already in INNOWWIDE, of your internationalization is long, okay? But at this journey, so if you are from Europe, Enrich can help you in different topics like information trainings, skill reinforcement, local assistance, finding business partners, and many other things. Okay, soft landing and so on. But also your partners in other countries may benefit from enriched support. So it's really depends on different situations here. So where Enrich is located, Enrich networks, so of course in Europe, but also in most dynamic and innovative countries and regions in the world. So we see here, so Latin America and Caribbean, US, Africa, India, China, and we also have Enrich Global, which I will mention, of course, at the end. So I really, to fit in my 8 minutes, I will say just a few words about each project. So the idea is, again, just to give you a flavor of what happens and what you can benefit from. So Enrich in Africa, great initiative, recently started, but already very dynamic, very active, delivering full service to innovation ecosystem. So it's those who are, if you are interested in going to Africa, then Enrich in Africa is your contact point. Okay, so Enrich in Africa provides really wide pool of services, from advisory support to incubation acceleration program, soft landing, access to investors. What is actually important, and for Enrich in Africa and for all other Enrich projects, is that support is provided not only in Europe, but by those who are based in the countries. So for example, here the people based in Africa who work since many years in supporting European entrepreneurs and many other organizations. So you know where, if you are looking towards Africa, that's your contact point. Enrich in China, absolutely fantastic initiative, and actually now sustainable, because Enrich in China continues support now without European support, yes. And so works with so all types of actors from Europe who are looking to explore China market, but not only explore, but also establish there. And really, so here I can only say that there is so maybe I will better show the numbers. So these are the numbers from the previous years. And you can see that in between all this, so more than 45 webinars and different countries and different topics. So you can, of course, find your interest if China is of your interest. So Enrich in China is also opened a call for community, soft landing zone. You can benefit from different webinars. For example, you see additive manufacturing sector in China, and so webinar. And it's not only about the webinars, but also about support, hands-on support there also in China. So if you're looking at China, so you can benefit from all this great knowledge and experience, okay, from our fantastic colleagues from Enrich in China. So in EU India, it's not called Enrich, but still it is Enrich. And so in Inno Center, EU India can help you to make a step into the Indian market. So here you can benefit from crash course, from trainings, from exploration programs, from acceleration, from many different support topics. And as you can see, so in this example, I have just one slide for India. So you see, for example, this year it's already a crash course and exploration program in mobility and life science will start in October, and so on. So you see, in all Enrich project, we have similar services, but we also have some differences. And again, this is all based on the needs of your entrepreneur. So if you have something additional as a need, so please don't hesitate to let us know. Okay. So Enrich in Latin America, and the Caribbeans, so active since a few years already, and first in Brazil, then expanded to Latin America. So that's your partner for Latin American and the Caribbean market. Along the entire innovation chain, the support is provided. Okay, so it's again about innovation opportunity, funding opportunity, and partnership, and many other things. And the hubs are located in many countries in Latin America. So that's so here you can here in other Enrich, you can have access to, again, to funding information and different programs. Actually, some programs are free of charge, some are not free because these are individual and more work is. So it's really very individual and depends on your needs and like one-to-one coaching and investment. So all this is provided. Enrich in the USA, so also is active since a few years, and it helps throughout the journey of entrepreneurs and innovators and entrepreneurs researchers, firstly from immersion programs online, then market validation and virtual lending online. These are 6 months programs, but also through soft lending. Actually, soft lending is a far product of Enrich in the USA. Okay, and it connects to university-centric soft lending ecosystem. Why university-centric? And this is interesting because this is actually for businesses. It's because in the US, small business development centers are quite often located in the university, and innovation centers are located in the universities. So in fact, through partnership with university, and we have wide partnership programs, so European entrepreneurs and innovators have access to soft lending, to mentors, consultants, but also to visa support. And this is important because visa in the US, if you know about G1 visa, it is really complicated. So through university, so support is up to 2 years, and care is taken about visa, sponsorship, hosting, and so on. So that's really great. But also about all other virtual programs and so on. Okay, so it's really wide pool of experience as in all other Enrich projects. So then, just to finalize, to finish my presentation with a few words on Enrich Global. So you see, with all these initiatives funded separately and also other initiatives, so not necessarily funded by the European Commission, but also others, supporting Europeans organizations to make a step abroad, to explore the market. So so many of these initiatives came together and created, so it's 12 leading organizations from private and public organizations around the world created Enrich Global Association. So it's a legal entity based in France, okay, but this is with founding members all across the world. Okay, and actually the goal is, like for all Enrich projects and others, to reinforce European competitive internationalization. And the motto is take European innovation global and vice versa. And this is an association. Actually, this year it's even we don't have any membership fees because this is co-creation. We hear the needs and feedback from entrepreneurs, SMEs. Some thematic group are formed. Members can join different thematic groups. We also have vertical groups in process, but for the moment it's not announced here, like in ICT and so on, or artificial intelligence, big data. So it's in discussion. Yeah, and so it's additional support, and we have a specific group with Enrich initiatives, and the synergies are done within this group. So you are all welcome to explore the website, and if you are interested, just drop off us a message. So as you see, it's I think this is a great support to continue the INNOWWIDE journey that this INNOWWIDE initiative had with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Svetlana, and thank you very much for keeping the time. I know it's challenging to present all of these great initiatives in such a short period. I will then move the focus to Egbert. Please feel free to share your screen.
Hi, Francisco.
Hello,
good afternoon.
And yes. Please feel free.
Good afternoon to everybody else on a warm Wednesday. Don't know about the location where everybody is located, but here in the Nordics, we're having quite the heat wave, which we're not used to. About 10 degrees warmer than normal. So I hope you can see my PowerPoint screen. Yep, I can see a nodding signal, so that means that you can see it. That's always useful. So a little bit about my background. Group CEO at Hofstede Insights, a Helsinki-based cultural analytics and advisory firm. active, very active in anything that touches upon business people and internationalization. Don't do this alone. Together with me, there is a core team of other data scientists and cultural experts located in about 60 countries around the world, many of which have been engaged in the Cuban project, about which I will tell you more in a moment. So if we go back 7 years, 2014 to be precise, the EU launched a tender to address a challenge that faces European SMEs, due diligence. Challenge number one, lack of capital in Europe. Cannot help with that, unfortunately. Challenge number two, lack of cultural awareness. And as some of the previous speakers in the past presentations have already spoken about, culture is something that touches, is actually at the core of successful internationalization. The culture of the organization in question, the culture of the country you come from, because that impacts the brand perception of a product that you are to launch, because geopolitics does play a role, and the culture of the market that you're planning to expand to. So the core goal of Cuban was to help European SMEs to internationalize using cultural knowledge with regards to how can we do this in an innovative way. At the moment, Cuban is managed by Hofstede Insights with the support of SPI, and it is in ownership with the European Commission. So what is Cuban? It stands for Cultural Understanding, Business Expansion and Innovation. It's a library, or you could call it almost, yeah, it is a library of tools and content that helps SMEs free of charge to understand some of the particularities of both their own organization, but also the markets that they plan to expand to. So cuban.eu, you can see the link in the slide in front of you. You can simply go there, register, and you can easily spend 1 or 2 months there to study if you so choose to. What has Cuban accomplished over the last few years? At the moment, there are more than 20 quizzes that help you test cultural knowledge on particular regions, countries, but also yourself, because we also always take our own perspective to another market, irrespective of the country we grew up in, whereas we are also still ourselves. So quizzes, over 150 articles, over 30 hours of webinar material, briefing on specific countries and specific topics. Over 50 people from a very broad, diverse background have contributed their expertise, knowledge, and again, all available there. And it touches upon 28 emerging economies. Since 2016, successful collaboration projects with, among others, Space to Waves, a global cosmetic cluster, and also Enrich China, as we were just talking about Enrich, which were amongst the most visited webinars. Since January 2019, over 88,000 unique users. So this basically makes it Europe's most successful cross-cultural learning platform. The most read articles such as how to find, attract, and retain employees in India, because it's nice if you expand to India, but if you can't find people to help you actually build the business, then what's the point? How to win business assignments in Nigeria. How to build trust with Russian colleagues, all very relevant topics. Now, why the focus on culture? I'll answer that question in a moment. If you want to know more about Cuban, then please do, and in a moment I'll put the link in the chat as well, read the special magazine we launched with an interview on Cuban, the background, the success with Eric Koch, who has been the lead EASME coordinator for this project since 2014, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a super interesting article, so strongly recommend you to take the 10 minutes to read it. Now, as mentioned, capital and culture, two of the biggest issues. But when we talk about culture, what is it actually that we talk about? Because everybody uses the word and everybody has a slightly different opinion on what it actually is. Just have a look. Let's say this is your product. You're selling a frog. But what if somebody sees a horse in this? Can you see the horse? And now I can see some nodding heads and some mistaken heads. Just turn your head. And there where we have the eyes of the frog, where you might see my mouse moving below the W, those are actually the nostrils, the nose of the horse. Who was right, who was wrong, doesn't matter. The point is, if you think you're selling something, it might not be the thing that people think you're actually selling. And this is one of the impacts that culture has. It creates a very different impression and reception, therefore, of whatever message it is that you want to send. Customer support. If it's not a manager answering an email, what's the consequence of that? What is then the consequence if you call every customer support employee manager? Will it speed up your service? Well, definitely yes. Very simple tricks and tips that can make services and product launches a lot more successful. Now, culture is the collective programming of the human mind, and all of this is predictable. So if you go to Cubin or you go to Hofstede Insights, our website, there is data for over hundreds of our countries there that help you to anticipate what is the likelihood of a group of people behaving in a certain way. And we all know that entering a new country is expensive. So why not take the time, go to Cubin and save yourself hundreds of thousands of euros by people that you want to sell a frog to, but they saw a horse, therefore product failure. All it takes is time. Now, what are some of the things that therefore culture helps you to anticipate if you go to new markets, especially if we talk about things like innovation? Newer markets, especially emerging economies, tend to have lower income levels. That means you can learn in those markets how to open up your service to a wider audience. By reflecting on things like cost reductions. It's the eternal business modeling, high volume, low margin, low volume, high margin. Can you basically balance these demands? And how can you use emerging economies to trial with this? What are things that you've never thought about? So other product features, increasing the size, decreasing the size, changing the color, that will help you to understand that, hey, this allows me to actually talk to a much wider group of people. The concept of good enough. A lot of European cultures have a tendency of over-engineering and over-documenting. Many of the emerging economies don't need all of that. All they need is a product that is good enough. So where can you might see it as cutting corners, but where might you actually indeed cut corners in order to expand the product and the service to a wider audience, learn, adjust, take back learnings to your home market, and also expand that business area? Because a lot of the emerging economies, like the ones that previous speakers have touched upon as well, they are not burdened by legacy systems, legacy infrastructure like many European countries are, where you need to fit into existing structures in order to get a product across the line. In emerging economies, there is no such thing. It's really a blue ocean, so to say. So where does this lead us? As I only have 8 minutes and I can easily spend days on this. First, understand yourself. How does culture impact the way you as a person see your product, your markets? So Cubin offers perspective on this. How does your target market likely react to certain features of a product, of a service, or your organization? So understand your target market. Cubin offers information on that. And in terms of adjustments, if you were to adjust, where would you prioritize those changes, either in yourself, your team, or the product? So Cubin is basically the launch pad to really start this mirroring exercise to save yourself lots of time and get the first time right, so to say. That's it basically from my side. Can easily extend on this, but 8 minutes is 8 minutes. So in case you have any questions, contact details in the screen in front of you, LinkedIn, etc. And in a moment, I'll put in the chat the link to the special interview with Eyasme on Cubin. Thank you, Francisco, back to you.
Thank you very much, Egbert, for the excellent presentation. And I'm sure that the participants find it very, very interesting. It would be wonderful to keep speaking with both of you and understanding how these two initiatives can be useful for innovators and companies all around Europe. But we need to move. So thank you very much, both of you. To the participants, we'll have and we will share the presentations that were just made on Enrich and Cubin, so we'll have access to all of this. And so, having said that, we move very quickly to the closing remarks. Luis, the project coordinator, and Danila, the project advisor from the European Commission, would be making the closing of the session. So maybe, Luis, I pass the floor to you.
Well, thank you, Francisco. First of all, I had to say that I'm proud to execute the CSA INNOWWIDE, and I am proud of the whole consortium activity, and I am proud of the clients, and I'm proud of all the supporters of this action. I will not make a resume of this journey because I believe everything has been said and repeated. But that I want is to give many thanks to all those that have contributed. First, AC, I can cite Jean-David Malo, Anna Panagopoulou, Cristina Russo, Fabienne Gaultier, Nienke, Danila, especially Danila, which is a strong supporter of the CSA. His help is crucial to go in the right direction. I don't know if I can cite also the reversers of the CSA. Maybe I should not cite them for confidentiality issues, but I would like to thank them because they try to help us in driving the CSA. Also the EAB members, Brigitte Ecker, Jana Kollar, Peter Noringa, Bosun Tijani, and Jose Molero have definitively contributed also to the success of this initiative. Also to the consortium members, you are a luxury. Collaborate with you is a luxury. An honor for me to coordinate. I will not cite anybody because it's a long list of people involved, but from my heart, many thanks to all of you. Well, work is done. The evidence has been obtained about the program, about the instrument, and I hope to start soon the following round. The politician layer is in agreement to support us. So I expect in 2022, we will continue with the INNOWWIDE activities, maybe corrected, taking into account some suggestions that worth to be taken into consideration, but pushing for the position of the European SMEs worldwide. Thank you. Danila, your remarks will be very important.
Yes, thanks, Luis. What I can add, maybe I will conclude saying a little anecdote about when they proposed me to be the project officer of INNOWWIDE. I still remember there was my head of unit, head of sector, head of in the research executive agency, and there were as well some people working in the international cooperation in the research. And they were all very serious to say this will be a very intense, very demanding project, and it's a pilot, it's a cascade, it's a lump sum, it's everything together. And then I said simply yes, why not? Because I really like to take challenge, and I proved actually that I took a great challenge, and I have to thank you actually, because during these years I learned a lot. I've been reading about all the market assessment worldwide, which is really interesting because as a project officer, I do sometimes manage projects which are very focused on one topic. This has given me the opportunity to see where the world is going. Besides that, I want to thank Luis and all the people involved in this project. Luis, just because you are the coordinator, so of course we were in touch more often because it was a real pleasure to work with you. Everything was very smooth, even if it was a very demanding project. And even during COVID, I want to congratulate. I never mentioned COVID up to now, and I didn't want it to, but it's worth it to say that even during COVID, you did a brilliant work. And I just have to thank you. And honestly, I will miss you as a consortium. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. I would like to thank one person especially, because he has worked hand with me very intensively during the development of this action. Is Carlos Garcia from CSA, which who I would like to thank especially. INNOWWIDE is INNOWWIDE because Carlos Garcia has worked a lot on it. Thank you, Carlos.
I don't know if Carlos will...
Thank you so much, Luis. Okay, I think it has been a very good teamwork indeed. Thank you so much to everybody.
Thank you very
much. Yeah, indeed. Thanks, Carlos, for receiving all my emails and be so quick in answering.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. I think we can close, and I also like to thank all the participants that stick with us until the end, to all the speakers with the excellent presentations, also to Chiara from EBN and all the EBN colleagues that helped us to organize this final event. And so thank you. I wish you all a great day, and thank you very much for your contributions.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.